That was a separate car who tried to run over some people.
Briefly detained the assailants, but released them after learning they held diplomatic immunity.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is shown on over 30 cable stations from Vermont to New York City, on the internet at thestruggle.org. Our YouTube channel, Struggle Video Media. We record on the 40th day of the Palestinian prisoners' hunger strike. These are some photos from Bilain, which dedicated today's march to the strikers. We received video from Palestine, which included one view of an incident where an Israeli settler shot one Palestinian dead and injured an AP camera operator reporter. One report about it in the Israeli paper Haaretz had this headline: "Settler defends killing of Palestinian. They almost lynched me." The subheadline was this: "The settler was driving near Nablus and West Bank when his car was hit by stone throwers. He opened fire, killing one man, wounding another. Police say he's not a criminal suspect." These headlines give a totally false idea of what happened. We based this conclusion on 4 videos, 2 that were included with the Haaretz article. We don't have rights to show you 3 of the videos, but if you go to thestruggle.org, you'll see my article about this incident with links to the videos. Based on my second-by-second view of the video, I'll make these points. 1. The settler started the incident. He had been stopped by a rally in solidarity with hunger strikers in Huwara near Nablus. For no obvious reason, he took off and plowed into several Palestinians standing right in front of him. 2. He stopped his car momentarily and then started again and ran into an ambulance. 3. People came up around his car and several kicked it. Not a crazy reaction in that he had just run into 3 people. 4. People started moving away from his car as an army vehicle arrived 16 seconds after the crash. 5. He was not surrounded. 1 stone appears to have been thrown just before the shooting. 6. The settler fired 22 to 30 seconds after the army vehicle arrived. 7. The settler turned around inside his car and shot through his back window, hitting 2 people who were far from his car. 8. The Israeli soldiers did nothing to secure the scene. They did not take away the settler's gun. They just let him go home. 9. The Israelis have arrested the ambulance driver and several Palestinians on the charge of throwing stones. They let it be known that the shooter is not under criminal investigation. Here is video that we can show you by Abraham Weizfeld, who has been living in Nablus. The army vehicle mostly blocks the settler's car. We'll put in words in the video showing the likely time when the shooting occurred.
Go! Yalla!
Gaz. Gaz am Gaz.
was a separate car who tried to run over some people, smashed into an ambulance that was trying to get out with the passenger. Then a jeep came to protect it, and is now under fire. Afraid to go out. Direct hit. Sound bomb.
I interviewed Weizfeld by Skype today, and here's part of the interview. Now, in one of the news articles, the settler says, I was surrounded and, feared for my life and all that. I mean, from the video that I've been seeing, number one, he wasn't surrounded and an army jeep was right next to him. What is your take on that?
The only stone throwing that began after he hit the ambulance was at the front windshield of the car. It was only 2 or 3 people, and they would back off and hide behind the ambulance after throwing something. And he picked up a gun. I saw him through the window. Then he turned around, according to other videos, and aimed out the back of the car because there was nobody in front of his car. So he wasn't surrounded. He was protected on the other side by the military jeep. He was covered on the opposite side by the ambulance. The only open view he had was from the back of his car, and there was no people in close proximity. There were no stones being thrown. His windshield was intact until he shot a bullet hole out of the window into the crowd at a distance. Now, Motaz, who was killed, the martyr, the Shahid, a young man who was walking around, according to other videos, without having thrown any stones, without even being on the street, was shot in the back of the head and killed instantly some distance away. That is about 20 to 30 feet away, about 10 to 15 meters away. And a journalist was also shot in the wrist.
The man who was murdered was Moataz Bani Shamsha. He was 23 years old. You can see my whole interview with Abraham Weizfeld on thestruggle.org. A couple of days ago, Weizfeld interviewed an activist who has been involved in many of the protests. She's a spokesperson for the General Union of Palestinian Women. The interview took place in the Solidarity tent in Nablus.
This is Dr. Abraham Weizfeld reporting for The Struggle Cable TV News. I'm here present with Mia Saratiani, who is the spokesperson for the Prisoner Support Committee of the General Palestinian Women's Union here in Palestine. And we're talking about the current state of the Palestinian prisoners' hunger strike, which has not entered into even negotiations with the occupying force. So what is the current condition of the solidarity movement with the Palestinian prisoners who continue now into their 38th day of a hunger strike, is it?
Yeah, we are now in Nablus prisoner's tent with the family of the prisoner. Until now, there is, as you said, there is no negotiation between the occupation and the prisoners, and they are go on in their hunger strike. What I want to tell all the world, that our war, our battle, not just with the soldiers, with the prisoners and outside, it is a battle with the settlers. Why? Because while we were in peaceful solidarity protest, we met with military force at Huwara checkpoint. A settler killed civil protester called Mu'taz, 22 years, from Beta, where I was present with the people, the families of the prisoners. So the settlers used their guns, their weapons, and killed the civil people in the demonstration, in the marches, in the cities, in the villages. So what we need to be protected by UN peacekeeping troops. We need the international. The international criminal court against the terrorists of the state of occupation. Our message: I am prisoner. I am with all the prisoners at their battle with the families here at the tent. Our message: this is our land. This is Palestine, not the settlers' land. Our political prisoners who must have their freedom, they must have to be free. So our message: we will not give up. We will go on our struggle until they will be free, until Palestine will be free.
Now from Democracy Now!, a disturbing incident in the U.S. Personnel from the Turkish embassy coming out and beating up protesters.
DemocracyNow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman as we end today's show looking at Turkey's crackdown on protests, not in Ankara or Istanbul, but here in the U.S. Last week, the Turkish president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan's security detail assaulted a group of peaceful protesters outside the Turkish ambassador's residence. Video from the scene shows Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan looking during the assault. It is not clear if he gave the order for the attack. Among those assaulted by the Turkish security detail were American diplomatic security officers. Police briefly detained the assailants, but released them after learning they held diplomatic immunity. The assault came shortly after Erdogan was welcomed to the White House by President Trump. During the meeting, Trump did not mention Turkey's deteriorating human rights situation, which has seen nearly 50,000 people and 150 journalists arrested since a failed coup last summer. On Sunday, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson denounced the violent clash during an interview with Fox News Sunday's Chris Wallace.
We did call the ambassador of Turkey into the State Department to discuss what occurred with them and express our view that this is simply unacceptable. There is an ongoing investigation, Chris, and I think we'll wait and see what the outcome of that investigation is. But we have expressed our dismay at what occurred at the Turkish embassy.
Well, for more, we go to Washington, D.C., where we're joined by two guests, both eyewitnesses to last week's violence outside the Turkish ambassador's residence. Saeed Reza Jassimi was violently attacked during the protests, rushed by ambulance to the hospital where he received stitches on his nose, was treated for a head injury. His assailants knocked out one of his teeth and loosened several others. Jassimi's a businessman who's been a U.S. citizen since 1992. And we're joined by Rukin Isaac, a Kurdish activist, Ph.D. student at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. She attended last week's protests and wrote a piece for the Huffington Post that was headlined, "Will Erdogan's thugs face no consequences for attacking us on U.S. soil?" I want to welcome you both to Democracy Now! Saeed Reza Jassimi, explain what happened to you. Tell us about the scene that day.
Well, we went to like 13, 14 of the citizens of the American, we are American citizens. We went to Turkish ambassador's house to protest Erdogan. We wanted to hear our voice. We are not happy the way his dictatorship. And as soon as we get there, the police, we just follow the D.C. police orders, and the D.C. police send us to cross the street. And when we were there, right away, the people in front of the Turkish ambassador's house, they start to curse us, they start to use F words. And then our slogan was very peaceful. It's not violence whatsoever. We were demanding peace in Turkey. And this is our slogans. Erdogan is a baby killer. The ISIS and Erdogan is the same. ISIS made in Turkey. Please, Mr. President Trump, stop Erdogan, because Erdogan is attacking the Kurds. Kurds fight ISIS against ISIS, and the Turks fight Kurds. So we wanted to Erdogan hear our voice. That was the reason we were there. But 10-15 minutes later, and first they attacked, and then the police stopped them. Some civilian, they attacked, police stopped them, and then like 5-10 minutes later, the Erdogan bodyguards, they passed the police the block, and then they attacked us very barbaric way. And first I remember there was a woman next to me, Lusik, she's a SED representative in Washington. They attacked her. One of them grabbed her head and they started punching. And I tried to cover her head, and then all of a sudden, 3-4 of them attacked on me, and I found myself on the street. And then they were kicking one after another my head. I tried to get up, but they were kicking me, so I realized that I cannot. And I lay down on the floor, and I tried to cover my head with my arm. And I could have died. I don't know how long I stayed there. I lost it. And then all of a sudden, I realized no one around me. And I tried to get up, and I saw I was bleeding. And then some police officer, they came and they raised me up, and they moved me towards the circle.
I wanted to ask Rukin Isaac, what did you see and at that site on Tuesday in front of the Turkish ambassador's house?
Well, I arrived like 5 minutes later. There were 2 attacks. The first one happened when I already arrived there. It was like 5 minutes after that. And my friend's daughter, 7 years old, Cheyenne, she was crying when she saw me. I took her, and then with my son, 4 years old son, I took them to we were like 6 feet behind the 10 people. And I was trying to soothe her. All of a sudden, I saw this man in black suit. They were just they were rushing into my friends. And first I thought, no, they will not come to attack us. Police will stop them. But then I I saw like they furthered and then they came close to me. They couldn't grab me, but they grabbed one of my friends. You might have seen her picked photos in media. He was put on a headlock position, and I felt very guilty after that because I couldn't protect her because I had my kid with me, 4-year-old son, and I've been saying that I was there with my son because we've been to the protests in D.C. for a long time. I've been here like for 10 years, and I take him to every protest. It is because we never got involved in any violence, and it is just usual for the Kurdish community here to take their kids, even pregnant women. Sometimes they come to the protests. So, and I tried to when I saw my friend was punched by one of these men in black suit, I tried to run away to the opposite direction, and I saw that there was a door open, and it was later I realized that it was the Kenyan embassy. I asked them, can I come in? They told me like, you'll be safe. The American police is here. I said they couldn't protect us. First I thought they didn't protect us, but then after watching the videos, no, actually they couldn't because they outnumbered, and I think they had guns. The Erdogan's bodyguards, they had guns, and I'm sure that the sea police was startled too. They couldn't do anything against them.
Mm-hmm. Who are these security? And first off, Erdogan, video was released, newly published video that shows Erdogan looking on as members of his security detail assault the group of peaceful protesters. What are you calling for now? And did you see Erdogan looking on?
Well, I didn't see him, but like I wouldn't be surprised if he gave the order because in Turkey he's the person who is calling all the shots in Turkey. He's ruling everything. Like he is in charge of everything in Turkey, not just the politics but the judiciary. He is the head of the universities. He is everything in Turkey. So I wouldn't be surprised that he gave the order.
He's just extended the state of emergency in Turkey on Sunday, Rukan Isaac. And what are you calling for now? The men who were arrested apparently have diplomatic immunity, and so they were released. What are you demanding? On Fox, they asked Tillerson, Chris Wallace asked Tillerson if the U.S. would be expelling the Turkish ambassador. And Secretary of State Tillerson said there needs to be an investigation.
Well, I want to say that this is not the first time that his bodyguards are attacking protesters. This happened in Ecuador last year, and also it happened at the Brookings Institute in Washington, D.C. again in 2016. Well, they get away with that, and because of that, I guess they think that they can do whatever they want in other countries. They do that in Turkey. Like I wanted to say that this violence that we witnessed on Tuesday, we can take it as a representation of the Turkish state violence against dissidents and opponents in Turkey. But the scale of it was the amount of the violence that we witnessed was nothing to be compared to the ones that people are having on a daily basis in Turkey. So yes, McCain called for the expulsion of the ambassador. I think they should do something, and especially this new government, especially Mr. Trump, the president, he is more patriotic, and this happened in American soil. So I hope they will do something, and they need to do something actually, because they get away with that. They get away with the one in Ecuador the last year. That means that this is a recurring thing that's happening.
Rukan, do you think that Trump's position on Turkey, calling when Europe was condemning the referendum that Erdogan pushed through that would increase his dictatorial powers, do you think Trump is influenced by Mike Flynn, his former national security advisor, who turned out to be a paid foreign lobbyist for the Turkish government?
Well, actually, yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
Is someone going? Well, actually, basically they have links with the feeling that we saw that, but I don't. But Turkey's stance against Turkey is always like they don't want to upset Turkey. This is how I see it, because I think it's a good, very important ally in the Middle East. And I don't think that they wanted to break their ties with Turkey. Yeah.
And Sayed, do you plan to protest Erdogan anymore after you were brutally attacked and hospitalized? Sayed Reza Jassimi, I want to thank you for being with us, and Rukin Isaac, PhD student at University of Maryland, thanks so much for joining us.
To the families of the people massacred in Manchester, UK by ISIS. The B is the symbol of Manchester. Saturday, June 2nd, I'll be at the Left Forum, part of a workshop on Syria. The Left Forum is a decades-old, once-a-year weekend meeting. 6,000 people now go to hundreds of panels and big lectures called plenaries. Our workshop features Yasser Munif, Malik Daniel, Rama Kudaimi, Shyam Gailyon, Mohammed Kirula, the mayor of Prospect Park, New Jersey, and myself. One of the largest labor solidarity marches took place around Yale last weekend on graduation day. Between 1,000 and 2,000 people turned out to march in support of Local 33 Unite Here. The Yale billionaires and millionaires refused to bargain with the union. That's all for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller for The Struggle.